Okay, looks like we are ready and raring to go. So, afternoon, house building business community. Sorry for that I'm a little bit later than scheduled today. A few technical difficulties, but nonetheless, we shall press on with today's instalment of 100 in 100. So, today is instalment number 9 of our 100 challenge, and I want to continue the conversation into sourcing development opportunities, whether that be land, whether it be buildings, essentially, identifying, finding, and ultimately going to acquire land suitable for development and added value, whether that's through the planning process, whether that's utilising permitted development, whatever that kind of may be that fits with your business plan. The good thing about the development process, really, certainly when it comes to the first kind of initial stages of the life cycle, sourcing, appraising, securing deals, is that the process generally is pretty much the same. There's lots of different ways that you can go about it in terms of where to look and what methods to sort of employ to ultimately get the right types of opportunities in your funnel. But ultimately, we would always suggest that you should start with a geographical strategy. So it's about working out what your criteria is, starting from in the areas that you're looking to develop in or build your business in, and then basically finding all available development opportunities within that area. Some might fit your criteria, some might not. But if you're going through the same process and it's repeatable and replicatable, then you might as well find as many opportunities as possible, because you could find yourself with a situation where you've got opportunities that you can appraise and you can work out a value for, and you can connect with landowners, and you can get them to the point of exclusivity or to the point of agreeing terms on a deal. And it might not work for you, but it could work for other people. So, we talk about development as a long-term business where you are often, waiting 15, 18, 24 months or more for money to drop into your bank account from a successful deal. But that being said, if you go into the effort and employing the blood, sweat, tears, investment in terms of time and money into the process of generating enough leads so it's going to work for your business, then you might as well try and make some money in the shorter term, potentially by sourcing some of these sites onto other people. So effectively, it's about covering the kind of the why, the what, the where, and the how. So in terms of why, we've talked about that previously, and it being your purpose of why you're doing what you're doing. The what, in terms of what criteria. So what criteria have you got? What's your benchmark that makes a good deal for you, in alignment with why you're doing it, with your purpose. If your purpose is to build up a portfolio of income producing assets, for example, then you aren't going to necessarily be looking to find land in really affluent areas where you can build 5 and 6 bedroom executive homes, if that makes sense. So it's got to be in alignment with your purpose. Where, in terms of, okay, what does the marketplace look like, in terms of working with agents, working direct to owner, where to look for things. For those of you that have got our book, House Building Handbook, then there's a number of options and avenues to look down to find sites in there, 16, 17 different ways of finding sites. But then it's about how, and it's about the methodology behind. It's all well and good, finding a lot of opportunities, but then how do you evoke responses? How do you get yourself in front of the right people? What kind of things do you say? What kind of processes do you go through? So I kind of wanted to use this ninth session to talk about a couple of different areas in and around methodology. Sourcing's a big area, development's a big area, so we are going to cover multiple sessions on each area of the life cycle. So if there's any questions that spring up to anybody that's watching this, whether it be live or recorded, they're in and around sourcing, then get the questions in. I know a few people watching live, so it's good to see you guys. And get them into us, and we'll try and cover off some some of your points in future sessions. But the two main things I wanted to discuss today, obviously yesterday or the previous session we talked about, we talked about many different areas related to direct to owner deals. So I want to take that a step back and just look at the marketplace in general. So from a marketplace perspective, we look at two things. You've got dormant prospects and you've got active prospects. So your active prospects are those that are actively, the word as it sounds, actively looking to sell their land, their building, their business, their property, whatever it may be. So obviously likely to find those on the main portals with commercial agents and mainly. The dormant prospects are primarily where we operate within our own business. Because it represents a massive, a huge percentage of the market, really, the general marketplace, as it were. Dormant prospects outnumber active prospects, I don't know, 100 to 1 probably. So dormant prospects are those that are perhaps considering a sale, or don't necessarily know that they're considering a sale of their asset yet, but that they may do in the future. So this is where it really comes into your own with your direct to owner marketing and your marketing kind of methods for that perspective. So you've got dormant and active prospects. So if you were to divide your time when you're looking at sourcing, I would be dividing my time heavily weighted towards dormant prospects because it's a bigger marketplace and it's less saturated than the active marketplace. And then, but still don't neglect active propositions. So we still do deal with agents. Now, typically we deal with projects that are in the public domain, as it were, at 2 points, really. So that's ideally before they've got to the public domain. They're with agents. They are actively looking to promote and sell land opportunities or development opportunities, but typically you've got kind of 3 stages. You've got that hidden market, the third market, if you like, which we name as the black book market. So if you can get on the black book, the agent's black book, and they'll often present you with opportunities prior to putting them in the public domain on their portals and getting a lot more interest. So primarily we deal at that end when it comes to online or on-market opportunities, or the other end, whereby we're looking at opportunities that have been on the market for a long time. And when I say a long time, we're probably looking at 6 months or more. You can get quite carried away when you get alerts, or you look on Rightmove, or you talk to commercial agents, or you get one of their emails. So we found a property or proposition that meets your criteria, etc., etc. And you can get quite excited and quite carried away and spend a lot of time looking at opportunities that have just come on the market. But we don't really see that as good use of time or good use of resource. So we sort of leave that, really. We still have the alert set up, so it's still worthwhile having alerts set up with Rightmove Commercial or your online agents, Estates Gazette, places like that. But for us, it's about, okay, a new property or a new land opportunities come to the market. When does it come onto the market? Okay, well, if it's still there in 3 months or 4 months, 6 months time, then we might have a look at it. So that's typically the kind of, to the extent of how we deal with the active prospects, but it's very much weighted towards dormant prospects because they represent better deals, less competition, and more opportunity to add value throughout the whole process, really. So when it comes to finding dormant prospects and just getting your name out there, as it were, we look at the kind of marketing techniques, and we also divide those into 2 areas, one being active and the other being passive. So let me just take a little bit of time just to explain what I mean by active and passive marketing. So we would consider things like, on your active marketing, it's things that you are doing repeatedly. So it's not a kind of situation where you set something up and you kind of leave it, set and forget type scenario, where you've got something set up on a website, or you've got your van that's sign written. You know, see a lot of them, we buy houses and all that kind of stuff. You do it once and you just see what comes in. The active side is more things that you are repeating on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis. So things that fall into that category would be like letter campaigns, as we've previously discussed, actively talking to agents, maybe even paid for advertising online, Google adverts, social media adverts, things like that, because you're always iterating those adverts. And general use of, say, social media. Social media is a big area that's kind of unknown and untested when it comes to success rates of finding leads and opportunities and converting those into deals in the development sector. Something that we are looking at, but something that we've not really tried and tested ourselves. But that is something that does require ongoing work. So I would say that falls into the active marketing piece. Passive marketing, in terms of, that's more about building awareness, possibly. So examples of passive marketing, which we're implementing all the time, it's out there in the ether, it's out there all the time. Things like your website. You set up your website. Obviously, you might be adding things like blogs and tending to your website on a weekly or monthly basis. But what is written on your website that is going to evoke potential responses from anybody that lands on there? So it's making sure that is reading right. And generally, things like a good example of kind of passive marketing would be sponsorships and things like that, merchandise. Your name is constantly out there, so your brand is constantly out there. Sponsorships, we sponsored local events, for example, local sports teams, where you're not necessarily guaranteed to get anything from it, but it's a relatively low investment. You're obviously helping out local events, local sports teams, whatever it may be, and you might get something from it. So it's a kind of, it's a semi-passive investment from that perspective. So we typically divide our activities into active and passive marketing, and aiming at dormant and active prospects. So in future episodes of the 100, here we are going to be diving a bit more into specific detail on maybe specific methodologies of how you find certain sites, and things like that. But just wanted to give you a bit of context in this session between the kind of the bit before that, really. So if you've got any questions, any queries, then do send them in to us. If you've got any good questions that you think would make good discussions within the kind of general network, then do post them onto our Facebook page, or our Facebook group, House Building Business Community. And stay tuned for installment number 10 of the 100 in 100 Challenge, and that will be coming to you tomorrow. So thanks for joining us, and I will catch you very soon. Take care.